Hey everybody, welcome back to Money and Music. I am Doc. Today we're going to be listening to some heavy hitters in the finance and music industry.
If you can buy a soda, you can invest.
We own hip hop, but we don't own rap music.
What's the cliche statement? If you hang around 5 rich people, you'll be the 6th.
I listen to his music because he's talking about, hey, how much farther he wants to go.
And I tell people in my business, I turn dreamers into doers.
Welcome back to Money and Music. I am your host, Doc Fuller, and today we have some classics, something special for you guys. So in the building, we have not only recording artist, entrepreneur, a brand ambassador, that doing it all, as well as an author, a Black author of a financial literacy book. Today we're going to welcome Translee and Sarae Addison. Translee, Sarae, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of you both, right? Sarae, with yourself, right? Having a master's degree, going to school, back to school for your PhD, and really focused on like all of the things that you're doing in the community as an author, right? As a teacher, right? And then Translee, entrepreneur, both of you all, right? With your, I see you rocking the Inner Peace Outer Glow.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out innerpeaceouterglow.com, Ipod, like. I was just at New Face. New Face was there. So New Face just caught me at the Big Facts show that T.I. did.
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah. So I had on my iPod joint with New Face, and New Face is everywhere, right?
Man, he's everywhere. I always tell people, like, if you want to do a real press run, just follow New Face around.
Yeah. Just follow New Face. So like as dual entrepreneurs, you guys are like a power couple, right? How did you guys meet, and kind of how did the entrepreneurship start? I guess I'll start with you, Sarae.
Oh, I was going to let him tell how we met.
Oh, well, how we met was crazy enough, at a networking event.
Okay.
I think it was at like WeWork or something.
Mm-hmm.
But we just met and like kind of just clicked, you know, and we didn't start like dating right at first. Like we just were really good friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we kind of really started dating at the beginning of like 2020.
Okay.
And then the pandemic happened, and you know, we kind of really got to bond on a whole another level. So, and now the entrepreneurial stuff started. We both were entrepreneurs before we met. She already had the book and everything like that. I didn't even have iPod. I would like to say that birthed from our relationship, but yeah, we just been on our journey, and we just have like a goal to, like, you know, build something to leave behind. And with that, those mutual goals, like it helps us, you know, work through the like day to day of it all.
And you have a lyric that I love. You talk about, what's your motivation? Is it buying Lexuses or going on more vacations? You know,
is it leaving legacies, or you just going to Vegas? Yeah.
If you're leaving a legacy or just going to Vegas, what made you think of that lyric, and what frame of mind were you in?
Well,
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, well, we were somewhere. We were sitting in the studio, and we heard something, or we read something where somebody said, "Are you running from bad, or are you chasing good?"
We were watching a TED Talk.
It was a TED Talk, yeah.
Yeah,
and
we were trying to figure out what motivates people,
Yeah.
and what inspires people. And
Yeah.
then he was like, what motivates you? And I think he put it on Instagram. We watched some TED Talks.
Okay.
He asked me some questions, and we just started listing everything down.
Yeah, well, yeah, like listen everything down to like say like, are you running from bad, or are you chasing good? Like,
Right.
do you support Black business, or just despise the white power? Like that was kind of like, are you driven by hope or driven by fear? Like that's, you know, that's kind of the what that whole verse and song kind of started about. And we just kind of built it from there. And my producer, Halftime Slim, sent the beat, and everything just, when God be working, he be working. You know, so
for sure.
It definitely started from us just watching TED Talks.
Shout out to Halftime Slim.
Yeah.
He has some fire out there, right?
Man, we got some fire coming on the album.
That's what's up. And speaking of the album, I know you can't probably get into it, but when should your fans expect it this year?
Definitely this year.
That's what's up. That's what's
Definitely this year. And like by the time this comes out, it may be out. Who knows? You know,
Okay.
you just never know. But we definitely got some things up our sleeve for sure.
We're gonna support our our producer Al G. He's a big fan. He's behind the scenes right now. Al
Yeah.
G is like
Shout out to Algie.
LG for sure, man. Shout out to
Al G knows all the words, right?
Yeah.
He goes back, you know.
Yeah.
So Sarae, what made you decide to write your book? And tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so my book is inspired by the students that I taught in second grade.
Mhm.
I used to teach first and second grade in like maybe 14
Okay.
through 2017. I taught with Teach for America in St. Louis. And during my third year of teaching was when I realized that, and of course it was like, duh, but I was only teaching kids how to count money and not really how to use the money. And being in a predominantly Black setting, having come from two entrepreneurs myself, my mom's an accountant and then my dad's an entrepreneur, and having them instilled a lot of financial foundation within me at a young age, I realized these children either are or aren't getting it at home, but they're definitely not getting it in this classroom with me. And so what can I do? How can I build a resource? And we just talked about it with the children the other day, realizing that there weren't a lot of resources that represented the students, that they weren't rigorous enough, and wanting to create something versus being the person who's like, where is the content, just creating it myself. And so I'd already had a publishing, not actually, let me think. No, I hadn't had a publishing and media company by then. I just had the idea to write the book and then created the publishing and media company, and then started Advanced Savings Jar. And the idea is to create more of these series of these books that just continue to talk about different topics. So starting with Savannah, there's Money Marvin in here. There's Spending Spencer in here. I've got some ones on investing written on my laptop, waiting to release at some point. But yeah, really just being able to share this knowledge because we need the information, and then wanting to take the literacy to building financial capability, which is really just like the application, which is what you all do with Cool Kids, and just like recreating a different future for the children and having a hand in that.
Yeah, and that's cool, right? It's like we have the ability to impact the future of our futures, right? It's like we're literally rewriting history,
Exactly.
you know? And so thank you all for being a part of this, because I think more students, the next generation, they need to hear this. Like, they may have never seen someone that has a publishing company, you know, that has put a book together, and that whole process. There's so many steps. Or someone that is gone from kind of releasing independent music to being on a record label. Shout out to Grand Hustle.
Yeah, most
You know,
definitely.
T.I.
Most
So like, what's next? Like, you know, I think, you know, when you look at the next 5 to 10 years, what do you see the future being?
Well, I think that as we get into growing brands, I think that we need to get into forming like coalitions to help other people learn how to do it, because I think a lot of times it's just the knowledge of how easy or hard it is to get into something. So what stops people from doing it. You know, like I've been hearing people talk about starting brands for a long time. You know what I mean? I've even said it for a very long time. And it's like, until you just go and just like fix things as you go, but just go and start it, like you'll never like really feel that feeling. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you want to just help more people feel that feeling of like getting past that hump of wanting to do it to actually doing it. So so I think that's a big thing, is just like getting with other like-minded people and just creating the coalitions of like, yo, we're doing this, what we're doing. We have this much resource, influence. Who else we each one teach 10, you know, who else we gonna bring up? So I think that's a big goal in the next 5 to 10 years for sure, because other than that, like, you know, what good is the dollar if you can't pass it down, you know, like, or the knowledge if you can't pass it down. So
Knowledge transfer. And I think, you know, for me, like my father only went to the 8th grade. He didn't have much to teach. You know, my mother only went to her sophomore year in college. And so I think, you know, part of what we're trying to do is to impact that, like having that generational impact. And so you brought up a good point, though, because you mentioned how you and Sarae met, right? So you met at this networking event. I don't know, you do a lot of stuff with like the gathering spot. Was that the place that you guys met?
No, it was at WeWork.
At WeWork.
That might be their competition. But this was like This is before I was even going to the gambling spot a lot. Like this was just a random. I don't even go to WeWork like that. Like this was just a
Yeah,
random.
I was like randomly
Is
in
it random?
town.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
'Cause I was in St. Louis.
And you mentioned about like just kind of collaboration, right? The ability for you to learn from Sarae. You said, you know, she was doing her thing and was kind of she had those entrepreneurial parents. And then I guess you were kind of able to learn a little bit from her, right? To start your brand and maybe
Yeah.
give you a little bit of motivation. How important for the new generation is to be around those people that you can learn from and grow with?
Man, it's literally everything. Like
That's
that.
it.
The what's the cliche statement? If you hang around 5 rich people, you'll be the 6th one, or
I like
whatever.
that.
You
I hadn't
know,
heard that, but I like
Yeah.
that.
but it's like change your circle, and it's not even. I didn't even change my circle, but it's like it's literally just you will become what you're around the most. You know what I mean? So it's like I try to surround myself with successful people, and um work vertically. Sometimes
Yeah,
she
always
says
talking about working
What's that?
laterally.
What's vertical?
like using vertical relationships,
But
like
laterally. I talk about working laterally and vertically. So lateral because of the fact that, you know, whether it's like minds, but then also maybe limited resources.
Right.
So for instance, you asked about what's the future next 5 years. So my publishing and media company, obviously continuing to publish books, different authors, my books, but then also the media side of it. Like we shot some stuff for a TV show that we're working on.
That's dope.
Within my media company. So continuing to expand on that, but we're using lateral relationships
Okay.
because all of us have an interest of creating more media content that reflects our stories in the media and just told by us. And then, but using those vertical relationships as well because we need to be elevated at the
Yeah.
same time as we're, you know, so all of us laterally are continuing to be lifted up. So, and then obviously graduating with a PhD.
PhD, that's major. When is that happening?
2023.
So
If everything goes according to plan, I'm just gonna keep it in prayer. Y'all keep me in prayer.
now you mentioned your parents are bosses, right? Did they go on to get advanced degrees in college?
So my dad's a dentist, and then
Okay.
my mom's an accountant. So yes.
Oh, that's accountant. That's what we're talking. We were
Exactly.
interviewing accountants, like many of them during the show.
Yes, my mom is constantly calling us, reminding us about things that we need to do with our finances.
So speaking of finances, like two entrepreneurs, right? How do you manage not only schedules, but like the financial part from the accounting side? Because like you're talking about the publishing company, you're an author, you have your clothing brand, you're a recording artist, you're booking shows. Like how do you manage that not only as a couple, but like individually from an accounting and just business standpoint?
Well, we definitely help each other out. And then like I said, my mom is. I'm still her child.
You
so,
still have a personal
yeah,
CPA?
So in the book, like there are things that Savannah doesn't listen to, but her mom tells her parents tell her to do. So my mom's constantly giving me advice. And I know you asked before, what's something that I would pass on? You know, listen to your parents, listen to the wisdom that's being bestowed onto you, because there are a lot of things that my parents and their friends have told me over the years that I just was not listening to.
Right,
and if
right.
I would have listened a long time ago, I would be in a much better place. Not that I'm in a terrible place right now, but with all the wisdom that they were giving at the time, in the same way that you are with the children now,
Mm-hmm.
leaps and bounds ahead of where I could be. But yeah, I definitely think we just support each other. And then we're constantly looking on YouTube and researching because we know what our goals are. We know the objective is to leave a legacy. And so it's not just about what we can see right now. It's also about thinking about how my parents and my grandparents pass things down and what is it that we're going to be doing to make things easier for when we're passing things down as well.
Yeah, and there's something that we teach the students in our program. We call it the Centurion Mindset. I think a lot of times we're thinking about the next year, the next decade, and we should be thinking advance. It's like, how can the decisions that I have today impact my great grandkids, right?
Absolutely.
And so like, and there's no sprints. There's only marathons when you talk about investing and finances and just like making these long-term legacy moves.
Yeah. All I can think about is the reason I am where I am right now is because of my grandparents and before, like my grandparents were professors, were integrating Northwestern, everyone was already in the education space. They had their masters. So me getting a master's degree was like, okay, you've gotten where we are. Can you go get your doctorate? Me running for school board, being on school board was like, okay, this is great. This makes sense though. This is something that we do in our family. And so continuing to pass that down and to pass on not just education in an institutional way, but passing it in a way where, learning is all around us.
Yes.
So how is it that I can make it in a fun and engaging way as well, in a way that speaks to me, because the institution of education doesn't always speak to me personally. So putting it in a way that's palatable for anybody is like where I like to be.
Like meeting them where they are.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And I think that was one of the things that, Translee and I, of course, linking up on Get You Started.
Oh, man.
That was dope, man. Thank you for being a part of that whole project. And like, it was just amazing.
Intellectual property, copyrights, and multiple streams. Learning financial literacy until we financially free. You know what's up, we working with smart goals. We heated like charcoal. Financial freedom is not at the car show. Liability for show. Generate money right out of the mailbox. We buy and we sell stocks. Start them early, trust me, it buys time like you finna sell clocks.
Absolutely amazing seeing that, seeing the kids rap the lyrics like word for word, because somewhere in it is gonna instill those, they'll never forget it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember learning a money song when I was a kid, and if it was about probably throwing money.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can only imagine how that's gonna affect it. So I appreciate you, man, because you sent me like the kind of like guideline, to kind of like go by.
Keywords.
Yeah, keywords, and I was just like, let me make this rhyme.
Yeah. And it was dope, man. It was dope. And you talked about just like leaving a legacy. I think that was part of the thought behind it, right? It's just like, what can we do to leave a legacy? So from what you all do, what would you envision the next generation having to do in order to leave a legacy? Is it entrepreneurship? Is it real estate? Is it stocks? Like, what do they need to do?
I think it's all of it. For sure, real estate.
Okay.
Land.
Yeah, land is
Land.
so important. Again, thinking about with my family, what they're able to do now in acquiring land and makes my life, our life, so much easier right now. I just recently moved back to Atlanta. Having a place to be is because of the fact that my grandparents had a place and were able to pass that on,
Wow.
Otherwise, that transition, I can't even imagine in the middle of a PhD program, in the middle of a pandemic, what that was. I was able to continue to build my publishing and media company and not have to finance my living space because my grandparents
Right.
were focused on leaving a legacy. And so, and my granddad always talks about, it was important for me to have my land. It was important for my children to be educated. And he did those things and they passed that on as well. And so, I would say continuing for sure to buy land,
Okay.
and investing. Like my mom had my sister and I investing at a very young age. She started things for us, bonds. They were buying. Family members were buying things for us.
Like what age?
Oh, this had to have been probably when we were born.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like from birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom, I remember when we would drive in the car, she would say, okay, now look around because we're going to buy some more stock. And what is it that you like? What do you think is going to be around for a long time?
Right.
And it was it kind of became a game.
She's getting the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
From
She
the
was soaking it
kids.
up. And it's so much easier, right? When you getting it and you're soaking it up from the household, right?
Right.
And because like when the information is out there online, but you have to know what information you're looking for in order to find it, right?
Right,
And a lot of times, if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to find it. And so like that was part of what this whole project is. Just like we want to soak up all the game out there and put it in
Right.
one book.
Exactly.
And put it in one TV series.
Exactly.
So like with your music, I know you speak through your music. I mean, it's an expression, right? It's an art form.
Yes.
And so with your music, what do you envision leaving as far as a lyrical legacy?
Hopefully I can inspire a generation to just be them. Like I started rapping not because like I wanted to be cool or anything. Like, or I started rapping when my mom passed. So like that was the only therapy that I had. So
Right.
being a rapper was never like a part of the plan, but I just got really good at it, and it just helped me to express myself. But if anything, I hope that somebody could just hear it and inspire it to make them do them as best they could. And there were other artists that helped me do it. Like Kanye West was an artist that inspired me to really truly be me on beats, because when I first heard Kanye, he was truly him on beats, and it was like he was, you know, in a space around gangster rappers and all of that, and was able to be him and succeed. So I want to do that for someone else that may feel like, oh, it's only this type of music winning or this whatever, you know, like, no, you can do you and still have a lane and still win. So musically, that's definitely one of my main goals, you know, and to just continue to be able to have a positive influence.
Yeah, I can tell you had an influence on me. I mean, and sometimes you're kind of like Gray, you know, plant-based
Yeah,
Gray,
yeah.
right?
That's my
and
boy.
where he's just in there and he's just like, he says all this stuff, and shout out to him. But like one of the things that you said, you talked about investing. You're just like crypto, real estate, assets, better see the writing on the wall like an Aztec.
Yeah.
And like I just kept playing that over. I was like, whoa, wait, he talked. That was like,
Yeah.
it was just about 8 to 10 words, right?
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency, real estate, assets. Assets, like, you know, there's so many different things that's stocks are assets, right? Land are assets. When I heard that, I was like, bars. And I just kept playing that. It's just like, that was my motivation, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, once it clicks, I remember whenever I was younger, man, like it took a while to click, because like I grew up in a household with my mom, my stepdad, and my sister. And my stepdad is very frugal, very smart with money, very, you know, just like he's very, very good at it. But he was less of a like, I'm gonna sit you down and teach you, or like teach you everything. Like he was more like, when my mom passed, he was working, you know what I mean? So it's like me learning about money, I kind of just had to learn from him, you know, just watching his moves, and just kind of learn it on my own. Because once I stopped having a job and just kind of started just doing music full time, this is like 2012.
Right.
Was my last time I ever clocked into a job. So finances have been, it's been like, you know what I mean? But like, you know, you like finally catch a wave, because you know you're not going back to the job. So it's like you like almost like force it. You force it, and then you finally catch a wave. So for me, it's literally just like finding that balance of passion and like, oh no, but we gotta make the money too. But it just gotta be passion filled. It gotta be something passionate, you know what I mean?
Right.
Something that I'm really passionate about. And yeah.
Because people, a lot of times they're chasing money. A lot of times they're chasing titles. Even in corporate America, it's like everybody's trying to be the VP or the CEO. And what people don't think about is like sometimes you're trading money for time, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like you're putting in, they want these jobs and they want these titles and they want that paycheck, that salary, but you're putting in 80 hours a week and you don't see your family.
Yeah.
You know, or it's having a health issue because you can't afford to eat healthy, or you can't afford to exercise, and now it's like your health is going down. So it's like now there's a time component, assets related.
And there's numbers out now that say like if you work a minimum wage job, you can't afford to live anywhere in this country.
Exactly.
Which is crazy to me.
Exactly. So how do we get so we have our viewers, like teenagers, college kids, like what do you tell them to how to navigate these waters, right? I know you talked about what you learned from your parents, like saving early, saving often. What are some jewels that from your experience as an entrepreneur coming from a CPA and dentistry background with your parents and even your grandfather, right, with land, what are those jewels that we need to tell the next generation?
I think that there's a lot of information out there. Even when I'm writing the books, I am looking to YouTube, I'm looking to Google, I'm looking to all the resources that everyone has available to them as well. And yes, my parents and grandparents, you know, passed on certain knowledge, but I wasn't always listening to that. You know, some of it I'm like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
You weren't tuned in at that time.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though they were putting things in place and trying to tell me things, I wasn't always as attentive as I needed to be. So I would definitely say in spaces like this, really listen to what is being said, pause it, reflect on it, go back over it. Did I miss something?
Right.
And then also just like seeking out the resources and the information that at least that you're inclined to learn more about. So I'm very big on leaning into my inclination. So if there is something that I am just a little bit curious about. There's a reason probably that I'm a little bit curious about. If stocks is something that you're super interested in, go learn a little bit more about stocks. If it's real estate, and then kind of follow that trail. If building a legacy is something that you're interested about, find out more about what it takes to build a legacy. Because the information is out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. And it's just for younger kids, it's just like it has to click for you. And at some point in life, it just has to click for you. Sometimes it doesn't click for you because sometimes you just can't tell somebody that's 18, like, you need to be smart with your money. And like, because even with, like, whenever I turned 18, my mom passed when I was 16. When I turned 18, I got like a little piece of money. It was like 10 grand, you know what I'm saying, from, I guess, life settlement, life insurance, whatever.
Right.
So me and my sister, and the first thing I did was went out and bought some $2,000 rims for my car. So now I'm down to 8, you know what I mean? Right when I hit 18, like, this supposed to be my life, start your life money.
Yeah.
And bam, I'm right at 8, you know what I mean? And like one day I'm riding around in those rims, and I almost hit this curb. I like swerved over and I almost hit the curb, and in my mind I stopped. I was like, you know what? If I would have hit that curb, I'm down to 3 rims now.
Yeah.
I can't do nothing with 3 rims. I can't sell 3 rims. I was like, I need to sell these rims right now. Like, so I ended up selling them for like $1,500, lost $500. And I remember just that moment being like, yo, like, I don't need to be making dumb purchases like that. You know, it didn't all the way click in, but it just, sometimes you got to live by making mistakes. Like, I heard my biological father say one time, like, lessons not learned in blood are easily forgotten, or something like that, or something like that. And like, it may not necessarily be blood, but like, lessons not where you don't get burned a little bit, you may not fully learn, you know. So sometimes it's like kids just got to learn that way. But the best way, like she say, if you can learn from us, you can learn from people's mistakes, or you can learn from watching this. Listen. But sometimes kids be burnt out.
And I would say, just like how you said, it's so important to be in that environment. Like, as parents are watching this, or, you know, if you're hearing something, put your children in those experiences, or around the people and in those places and spaces where they can have that experience. Because even just being in the environment can help in some kind of way, you know. And maybe hearing someone say something in that whatever kind of way that just so happens to help it click is important. So, and just being mindful of the places that you're in, the spaces that you're in, the people that you're around, all of those little things add up to a financial foundation or experience or lifestyle. And so a lot of the things that I study when I'm reading about financial capability is about your habits. Just, what are you doing on a daily basis that's contributing or taking away from what your financial existence looks like? And so I would say, even just being mindful or reflective. I'm very reflective in general. So like, being reflective of, what am I doing now? What I'm doing right now going to help me, and even just like next week, and then take it from there. Because I know sometimes it can be hard to think about 5 years from now. It's hard for me to think about 5 years from now.
5 weeks from now.
So just thinking about like, and I did this exercise with my first graders. I was like, okay, some of you all are, okay, we're all in first and second grade. What were you doing in kindergarten that has you at the reading level that you are right now? And then they were able to be like, okay, so I was playing. I was definitely playing. They were always reading. So maybe I need to change some of my habits. So like, even if you're not even thinking about the future, think about what you did in the last couple of years. Because like you said, before we met, I was working on the publishing and media company. So it made sense for me, after I'd written the book, to expand into the publishing side of it. The media side of it. I could go back on my past steps of what did I do, what were my initial goals, and continue forward with that. And so even tracking your past steps to figure out why am I in the situation that I'm in right now, and what can I do different as I'm moving forward. Just to kind of keep track of where you are and how you're moving forward, I think is helpful as well.
Yeah, and so like I have my daughter Autumn, 22. She's in the background, just hanging out. But my younger kids are really tuned in to Savannah Saving Jar.
Yeah,
So
I know.
Charlotte is 5,
Yeah.
Layla's 8, and Dylan is 10. And so like she loves that book, right? Especially my 8-year-old Layla. So what was the key jewels in there that you want that age bracket to learn?
That's a great question. So, man, that's such a good question. There's so much in here.
Because I know, like, even the teacher, I love that you picked a Hispanic name because,
Yeah.
you know, and
So that was inspired. So I had 2 Mexican students in my class. Their last name was Romero. And so I speak a little Spanish. And so.
Un poquito.
Un poquito, sí. But so they just thought my Spanish was so good. So they would ask me questions like, Miss Addison, what does this word say? And I'm like, y'all, I know I can speak it, but like, I'm not that good. But we would read every day, and just helping them sometimes with Spanish and comprehension. It was important for me to have them represented in the story.
Representation is huge.
And just, I had a lot of Hispanic friends growing up, and the type of influence that they had on me, it was important to have that represented. I would say, so being in the education space, and I have a lot of conflicts with the institution of education. I feel like, especially for Black people, and even just like lower income in general, we could be doing a lot more to be changing the financial futures of people. And a lot of Black and brown, low income in general, are coming to school because they want to change their circumstances. And what are we doing to actively do that? I'm not seeing it. And so being able to put in here, like, this is something that you can do in your classroom.
Actionable items.
Actionable items. If a bank wants to partner with the school and say, hey, we'll give you enough money to start to give you a grant. So in here I have my nonprofit. I plug my nonprofit. So Financial Friends Foundation gives this class a grant, which is eventually what I want to be able to do. Give classes grants to be able to do projects so that kids are having these financial capability experiences where they're building real life experiences of what will they do in a circumstance if they have a lump sum of money, if they start a business, what lessons will they learn early on. So that was important for me, just for the education institution to be able to see what can we be doing different to change the financial futures of students, incorporating the comprehension questions in there. I used to have parents all the time say, my child has read the whole book, and they don't know what they just read. And so it was important for me to write in those comprehension questions. Budget and expenses was important, just so you can like write out and have a track. I know when we were on the call the other day, the girl was like, how can I start this business? And I was like, well, I don't know everything about your business, but definitely start with that list of expenses. What are those ingredients? What do you need? Return on investment was important. Understanding that if you don't have the money, there is a way to get the money. So maybe someone invests in your company, and what does it look like to make a profit? What does it look like to have a return on that investment? I know one of the students the other day was so cute. They had the chat, and he said, she could get a loan.
Yeah.
I love this. Don't talk about loan in here, but yeah. There's just a lot of different nuggets. Saving at least 25%.
Of what you earn. Right?
Of what you earn, at least 25%. Yeah, there's a Tulsa, including Tulsa, Oklahoma, was important for me. One of the students is from Tulsa, just to put that nugget of where
History.
Black Wall Street. There's a lot. I just wanted to stimulate conversations between students, between parents. I just feel like we need to be having these conversations
More regularly,
right? And in a fun and engaging way, and make it so that it seems possible, even at a young age.
Well, I don't know Beyonce and Jigga yet, but y'all are the closest thing to Beyonce, Jay-Z.
I say this all the time.
You know,
he's
y'all
a Virgo and I'm a Sag.
You guys are the power couple to me. Like, I love what you're doing. I certainly, and you're operating with purpose. Inner peace, outer glow. You know, Country Wayne, I love what he said. He said, if you're not beautiful on the inside, you can't have an external glow, something to that effect. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm excited to see. I know that the black inner glow, inner peace, outer glow hat just came out. Bucket hat. So shout out to that. What's next for Ipod?
Really, it's going into the winter months, so putting out some more content, because the goal is to really have people that I come in contact with kind of like give their journey to inner peace, or like what they do, what they, steps that like they may take, and then just continuously put those out there, because that may help you. Everybody can't go to therapy. Everybody doesn't have time to go to therapy. Everybody doesn't have money to go to therapy. But those little pieces of information that you may get, it may get you to the next day. It may not be therapy, but it just may be a little thing that can help you get to the next day. So that's what I think a main initiative of the brand is. And shout out to Chelsea too. She really designed these bucket hats.
That's
So
what
she
boss
keeps
people
going,
do.
yeah.
It's like you connecting like this way and vertically, like you
Exactly.
said. So this is money in music, right? So any inspirational bars? I know you just filled with bars. So I'm gonna take you off the table, right? So Sarae, anything out there from a financial literacy, empowerment, entrepreneurship standpoint, lyric wise, that motivates you?
Yeah. So,
You can't use Translee.
oh, okay.
Bitch better have my money.
That for sure. Yes.
Have my money.
Yes, for sure. But the first one that comes to mind is, the song with the Migos, and it's like, I get the bag, you get the bag and fumble it. I get the bag and flip it and tumble it.
Oh,
So I love that.
That's a new one.
Yeah,
for real.
I love that because for me, it's like investing, stock,
Multiplying
like all
your
those
money.
things. Yeah, what can I do with my money that will make me get another bag, and however that bag, maybe get like 5 more bags. And just continuing to like tumble it. And not fumble it, because fumbling it is a real thing.
You can get it, but like,
And
can you keep
fumbling,
it?
exactly.
Can you keep it?
And that's why it's so important for me, even with Savannah Savings Jar, I need to get the next one out so people know it's not just about saving. Like, it's good to have it. You need to have it.
Right,
but
right,
what
right.
are you doing with what you're saving as well? Go ahead and flip it. Tumble it.
I forget the song, but it was just like the intro of it. When you said intro, you said boomerang. Whatever energy you put out there is gonna come right back.
Gonna come right back, yeah.
Yeah. So we love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's like a real thing. And for me, in like my life, I be seeing that energy come back quick. Like it's like you just never know. Like something as simple as like, I'm talking about something as simple as I'll leave a piece of trash somewhere. No, I ain't supposed to do it. Like fucking somebody else to get it. Turn around and stub my toe or something. Like it'd be quick. Like
Right.
quick karma. So I just like
Karma.
try to like, live my life the right, just, keep good energy coming back your way.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Inner peace, outer glow. We got Sarae with the book Savannah Saving Jar. Can we see what it looked like?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Savannah Saving Jar, right? you look it up. She goes by Sarae, but Chelsea Addison, is where you'll be able to find it. And where can they find it at?
So it's on Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble. You can find it if you just look it up. And then also if you purchase it from Adwin Publishing and Media, I'll sign the copy. So ADDWIN, P as in Paul, M as in Mary.com/shop.
Okay. That's dope. Well, Sarae, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you
Translee.
for having
Looking
us.
forward to the album.
Definitely.
Looking forward to the next book. And thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. I think our viewers have a lot of jewels that they can rewind and pick apart from this conversation.
I hope so.
Hey.
Yeah.
Money and music.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. You guys, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.